Buying a franchise, understanding your franchise restrictions. When you're buying a franchise, it's important to know what your limitations are so you don't overstep the boundaries. The first one to investigate is your operating hours. Now, your operating hours or your minimum operating hours are generally governed by the location that you're going into. If you're going into a retail space, they'll generally stipulate your core operating hours, which would be 9 to 5, 9 to 5:30, and extended on Thursdays, for example. But if you're going into a shop front, you don't really have these restrictions in place. That's why sometimes street locations are better than retail locations. Approved suppliers. Your franchise agreement and your franchise documentation will stipulate your approved suppliers. The reason for this is, as I've said before, quality and consistency. Also, the economies of scale. What you really want to do is make sure you are maximizing the franchisor's economies of scale, the buying power. So you are getting top quality produce and top quality meats, for example, at the best market prices. And also, of course, the ingredients that make the franchise consistent. Marketing and advertising. Know where you stand. So a lot of franchisees will go into a franchise system and think that they can market wherever they want. They can open their own Instagram accounts and Facebook accounts and really bring out what they like in the way of marketing material. But that's not true. You would be restricted by what you can advertise and where you can advertise it. The reason for this is brand reputation and brand image. Head office would generally want to control the brand reputation and not allow you to put out your own material for fear that it's going to bring the brand into disrepute. For example, if you're associated with certain groups that the head office does not conform with or does not like, they will not want to be associated with those groups. Menu and product offerings. So a lot of entrepreneurial franchisees will go into a franchise and say, oh, I could put charcoal chicken in a cafe, for example, or I can make burgers in a wrap shop, for example. It is vital that you understand what your limitations are on products. If you are going into a franchise very early on in the system, you may be able to create some concepts that you can put forward to a franchisor to consider. Or if you are very business minded and you go through your cost of goods and create a product launch or a product concept idea, maybe you can put that forward to a franchisor, but they don't have to take that. Remember, to launch a new product in a franchise, it's not as simple as coming up with a bright idea, implementing it in your store and expecting every other store to come out. If a customer comes in and buys that product and they love it, go into another franchise and it's not available, you lose that consistency of the brand. The fifth point is the expansion limitations. When franchisees go into a franchise, they may have high hopes that they're going to have 2, 3, or 5 stores, but there may be a limit on how many stores that you can actually own and operate, especially now with limitations on owner-operators versus investors. Know where you stand. Investors will be limited because their scope, if they don't have the people power in their admin team, their scope of vision into their franchise may be limited, and therefore there will be a deterioration of quality and consistency in those outlets. Make sure you know your limitations, make sure you know your restrictions, and follow for more information.